Hey, this is Larry Goins, and welcome to the premiere episode of the new and refurbished Brain PickAPro. We used to have Brain PickAPro years ago. I mean, years ago. This was probably 10 or 15 years ago. And we stopped doing it for a while. That was back when it was teleconference. You couldn't even do video on the internet back then. So we're starting with my head coach, great friend, longtime friend. I just love him to death. What was your name again? Nathan Amaral. What's up, buddy?
Hey, Larry. How's it going?
Man, it's going good. It's going good. I'm really excited because I'm always really excited when I do these videos. But I am excited because I've known Nathan for many, many, many years. And he actually works with us, but he does his own thing as well. And he's got just a beautiful family. And he is literally living the dream. He is a world traveler. Where are you calling in from right now, Nathan?
Today, I'm calling you from Uganda.
Today he's in Uganda. And this guy, he lives in the U.S., he lives in Uganda, he lives in Portugal. And I was talking to him the other week, and I'm like, where are you? He was in Germany. So
That's
awesome,
that's like the biggest question I get. The biggest question I get most of the time is, "Oh, hey Nate, where are you today?"
That's awesome. That's awesome. See, everybody calls him Nate, but I still call him Nathan. You'll always be Nathan to me, Nathan. So, Nathan, why don't you start out and tell our listeners a little bit about who is Nathan Amaral?
Sure. Yeah, Larry, by the way, thanks so much for having me on this. I've always listened to Brain PickAPro, the audio version. I remember that from years ago. Yeah. So now that it's like 2 revitalized and up and running, we got now video. I think that's awesome. And so, real estate for me, I can relate to your excitement. Real estate to me is something that has been burning in my soul since I was like 18 years old when I first started reading about real estate. And I got involved after a serious car accident. I didn't know what I was doing in life, but I know I wanted to make more money. I just wanted to make more money than what I was doing. And after that, it just got me thinking, and I was like, what am I going to do? And I got introduced to by my ex-girlfriend's dad. He said, you have to read this book. You have to go to this seminar. And it was about real estate. So I, by destiny, got led into real estate through my ex-girlfriend's dad. And I got introduced to it. And I spent a boatload of money on seminars and courses and training. And unfortunately, looking back, it took me 2 years of all that learning when I could have really shrunk that down if I got with a coach even faster.
Right.
And I think that was my biggest mistake. Was I went to seminar after seminar saying, no, I don't need coaching yet. I just need another seminar, when actually I could have sped up that whole 2-year process by just getting a coach. Because I closed my first deal when I was 20 years old. I did my first wholesale deal when I was 20.
That's awesome.
So, and we didn't have the internet like we had it today, and we had e-fax. E-fax is how I sent my deals out to my buyers. And so from there, it just made it become real. Like closing my first deal, I closed 2 deals actually. I made 11 offers with my coach, and out of those 11 offers, 4 got accepted, but I could only take action on 2. I couldn't close the other ones in time, and it just didn't work out.
Right.
I closed 2. I made about $18,000. When I did that, that was it. I'm like, this is it. Like, I'm on the right track. So I continued wholesaling real estate for 2 more years after that. I built a really big business. I did so well that even some of the senior veterans at the RIA group were like, this guy is better than us. Like, they were introducing me to the big speakers that were coming in and saying, hey, this guy is doing a lot of big business. And then from there, I got into, after those 2 years of wholesaling, I got into apartment investing. I bought a few apartment buildings, and then I got into lease options and a whole bunch of different styles of real estate. I bought land, and I bought I started doing owner financing after we met. You're the one who got me into the owner financing of real estate. So yeah, I just did a whole bunch of different real estate. But one more thing, and I'm trying to make a long story short here. I'm trying to make a 12 years story short. When we met, though, Larry, because for years I was doing real estate like face to face. It wasn't until I moved to Charlotte, and it wasn't until I saw what you were doing in your office about virtual real estate. Like, everyone was in your office, and no one was really going out to the properties that were like 4 hours away, and the closing was virtual, and everything was virtual. And I'm like, how the heck? Like, how does that happen? You know? And so I remember doing my first deals in South Carolina just completely virtual. And that got me hooked. And from there, I guess I took it on overdrive. I said, all right, I'm leaving the country. And I started doing deals from Uganda. And when we chatted a few weeks ago, I was closing deals from literally in Portugal on the beach, you know. And ever since then, I've been doing virtual real estate now for about, maybe 4 or 5 years.
I love it. I just got to ask you a quick question. Your very first deal, your very first virtual deal was in South Carolina. Yeah. If I'm not mistaken, weren't you living in South Carolina, but you just wanted to see if you could do it without going to see the property?
It's very true. Yeah, I was living in South Carolina, and the deal was about an hour away from me. I think it was like an hour and maybe an hour and a half. And I did the deal. I never drove to the property. I didn't. I bought it sight unseen. I saw pictures.
Right.
And that's really important. You got to have good relationships. You got to have people you trust. But I saw the pictures, and that was it. And I moved forward, and we did the deal. Yeah.
And if you could do it without seeing the property 1 hour away, there's no difference than it being 5 hours or 10 hours, or from Uganda, or from Portugal, or from Germany, or wherever. There's no difference.
Doesn't matter. Yeah, doesn't matter. Yeah, the last deal I just closed at the end of December, Larry, no joke, I didn't find the deal. Like, me personally, I wasn't looking for it. I'll tell you how I found it. Didn't find the deal. I put the deal together. I talked to the seller, negotiated the price, found a buyer through Craigslist, put it all together, all from Portugal.
Wow, that's huge. I love it. I remember when I first started doing virtual investing, I used to say phone, fax, FedEx, email, and internet. Now it's it's smartphone. You know?
Yeah, I was gonna say it's smartphone. Yeah, my phone's right here.
It's just smartphone. That's it.
All from my phone. I sign documents right from my phone.
Yeah.
I'm on a phone call.
There's an app for that.
Speakerphone. Yeah, exactly. And you know, not to beat up the industry or anything, but when I'm talking to an attorney or a title company and they're not familiar with virtual real estate, I kind of give them a little jab and say, hey, you got to get up with the times. You know what I mean? Sometimes I hear people that are not like, up and running, you know?
I love it. That's like that attorney one time years ago. We said, what's your overnight address? And their response is, it's the same as our daytime address. So that's really good, Nathan. Now, you've been investing since your early 20s, and you travel around. Share a little bit about your family.
Sure. Well, yeah, the reason why I'm in Uganda, by the way, is in 2013, I just made the decision to meet up with a friend of mine who was a pen pal friend of mine for many years, and she lives in Uganda. When I went out there for 2 weeks, the day before I left, I bought a ring and asked her to marry me, and she said yes. Right. So I went back to South Carolina. I kind of sold everything I had, and I said, hey, I'm moving to Uganda. Right. And I did that about 40 days, about 40, 45 days. I did that, and I haven't looked back since. And my wife is Ugandan, and I got a 3-year-old daughter. Her name is Brooklyn, and then I have a 1.5-year-old daughter, and her name is Delta.
That's awesome. That's great.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah. I love it. So how is Joy doing?
She's doing good. Yeah, she's doing really good. She actually just started her own business. It's her side business. Our main business is real estate. We just bought some land, and we're actually in the process of finding 10 acres for a business partner. So we are in the process of doing that. But yeah, our primary business is real estate.
Wow, that's huge. Now she had a business before. She owned a little shop or something before, right?
Yeah, when we came back to Uganda, we just went online with it. We really just I started running Facebook ads, and
Right.
now she gets all her clients from Facebook, like Facebook marketing.
That's awesome. I love it. I love it.
Yeah,
That's great.
yeah,
So, Nathan, I want to ask you, I mean, I know that you do real estate virtually. You do it all over the world, from all over the world in the United States. And,
yeah.
and you coach and mentor our students. You are our head coach, and you're working with our students and, and getting them up and running. I wanted to ask you a few questions to kind of give the audience an idea, so because a lot of people think, well, I'm different or this is my situation or whatever. So, but the truth is, as long as you and I have been doing this, there's probably not a situation or a circumstance that we have heard that we hadn't heard from somebody else or maybe a dozen other people. Am I right?
You're absolutely right. Yeah, and a story comes to mind. Recent student, no buyer's list, hardly any experience, but I gave them one tip to get that buyer's list and tap into a buyer's list.
Right.
We analyzed the deal, very simple, quick. We did a screen share. I analyzed the deal with her, went over it, and she didn't even have a buyer's list, but she sold that puppy in like 2.5 weeks or so. And she was so happy. She made an $8,000 profit.
That's awesome.
And yeah, and she was so excited. And this is the funny part, Larry. This is not funny, but this is the truth of the matter is she was so mentally depressed before the deal was done. She would call me randomly sometimes and say, "Do you really think I can do this? I don't feel like I can actually make this happen. I don't know if it's possible." And she had a very negative mindset towards it. And I said, listen, no deal is going to happen with your mindset. No deal is going to happen.
Right.
And I had to get firm with her. And I had to say, listen, this business it's like a boxing match. The boxing match is, the learning curve is learning how to box. You have to learn how to box. Right. And that's how you learn the business. Then before you even get in the ring, you got to believe you're going to win. That's the truth of it. You got to believe you're going to win. Then you got to step in the ring. That's where you start making offers. And you're going to get no's. You're going to give punches. You're going to take punches. You might get knocked down. People may not accept your offer. You got to make a lot of punches, got to make a lot of offers until you get one and you win a match. But as I was telling her, this real estate game is all in your mind. And if you don't change your attitude, if you don't discover what the fears are and what's holding you back mentally, you'll never be able to close those deals from anywhere, or do your first deal,
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
Really
and that's
important.
one of the things I've always admired about you, Nathan, is not only do you have the real estate education and experience, but you have the patience to be able to help somebody to see their own potential and to keep pushing that own potential that they have, but they don't realize it, but you can see it, and you've been there, right?
Yeah, true. Thank you for that compliment, by the way. You're the second person that told me that today. I'm not kidding you. Yeah, it was literally just a few hours ago. I was in a meeting and someone said, "Wow, you're so patient and you're so aware of what is happening with people. You're so observant." And it's true. And I think because sometimes, in coaching, when you're coaching someone, you're on the sidelines looking at the player run across the field, right? When they come back to the bench, they're like, "Hey, coach, what did I do wrong?" And there I am saying, "Listen, instead of doing this, I want you to do it this way." Noticing what that person is doing right or wrong and making those corrections and suggestions.
Right. What did you do right and what could you have done better?
Correct.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I love that. We call that plus deltas.
Plus deltas.
Yeah, there you go. What did you do right? What could you have done better? So, Nathan, what do you see is the single biggest challenge that, let's say, a new student has? They've never done a deal before. They've bought some courses or maybe even gone through a coaching program or 3, and they've never done a deal, and they're scared, and maybe their family doesn't believe in them or whatever. What do you see as that single biggest challenge that they have to get past to be able to close their first deal, put the money in the bank, and shut up the naysayers, so to speak.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say that if it was one thing, I would say it's three parts, Larry. I think I have to break it down into three parts.
Okay.
Number one, I say it's clarity. First of all, people have to get really clear on what they're doing in their business. They have to know who their customer is.
Right.
Sometimes I'm working with a new student and they're all over the place. The second part is confidence. And most people, because maybe they've never made an offer yet,
right,
they're not confident enough in maybe analyzing the deal. Are the numbers right? There's so many mental thoughts of self-doubt. Are they doing it right, correctly? What is the seller going to say? What if the seller says no? So the next thing is confidence. And that's where I tell them, lean on me. Lean on me. Let me be your imaginary business partner. Let me be the one. Like when you're on the phone, like
right.
A perfect example is, why do you think those signs or those marketing letters say we buy houses, not I buy houses most of the time? Most of them say we buy houses. It brings out that confidence, like, hey, we're a group. So I say, lean on me. Let me be that imaginary business partner in your life. And that brings a little bit more confidence in them, and they feel good about it. Like, yeah, it's almost like they're the front man and I'm behind the scenes. And if they need me, they bring me right on board. And they're like, yeah,
right.
My business partner, he knows a lot more than I do. He's got a lot more experience. And I find that gives them a lot of more confidence while they're making their offers, while they're analyzing deals or building relationships in their real estate business.
So clarity, confidence, and what was the third one?
Oh, the third one is cash flow, because when you have the clarity and you have that confidence, then you can cash flow. You can close the deal. You now have focus. You now have the confidence. Me being your imaginary business partner there by your side, you now have the ability to go for that check and close the deal.
Right. So, Nathan, what have you seen the shortest period of time somebody has closed a deal with our help?
Probably like 3 weeks total. It was probably like 2 weeks and a few days.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say 3 weeks, and that's not. It doesn't happen all the time.
Right.
But that's
not
with
normal.
someone
That's
who's
not normal, guys.
It's not normal. It's not normal. No. But I would say that was the fastest. And what I found with that person is they went full steam ahead. Like they didn't let their own thoughts get in the way. If I told them do this, this, and this, they just went for it.
Right.
Exactly.
They just
put the blinders on. Focus. Yeah.
That's good.
Exactly. Yeah.
What would you say is the average time?
Average time, I think I would say, is probably around the 2 month mark. That's probably around the right amount. By the time someone, depending where they're at in their business, if they are just, if they've been already involved in real estate, it helps out. If they're just getting started, it might be a little bit more of a learning curve. But for example, I've done like my recent example of a student who was just on the call the other day. Three weeks into the program, he's got 2 deals under contract.
Wow, that's huge.
3 weeks into the program, yeah, less than a month. He's got two deals under contract, and he's probably going to have it sold at the end of the month. So that brings him around the 1 month and a half, 2 month mark.
Right. That's huge. That's awesome. I was going to say about 6 to 8 weeks. So right in there is about the average of what I've noticed.
Yeah.
So Nathan, what is your favorite book?
Oh, my favorite book? My favorite book is The Magic of Thinking Big.
The Magic of Thinking Big.
Yeah, that's probably one of my favorite books.
I haven't heard of that book. I don't know why.
What?
How long has it been out?
Oh, it's a classic.
Really?
You got to read it.
The Magic of
Thinking Big. Of Thinking Big.
Now, I've got Thinking Big, and I've got How to Think Like a Billionaire.
Yep.
And I've got that, but I haven't heard The Magic of Thinking Big.
Are you sure? I mean, because me and you, we've read a lot of the same books and stuff. But I don't know. But it's a great book. If you haven't read it, check your library. But The Magic of Thinking Big. I'm going to check that out.
I got to check it out in my Audible library.
Yeah, it's a great read, and the reason why I love it is because, Larry, I come from I'm an inner city guy. I'm an immigrant. We immigrated, immigrant family. We went to a very rundown city. I was a newspaper boy, standing on the side of the road, holding a newspaper, yelling out the news. Okay, and then when I got a car, I was able to deliver newspapers. So I made money on the street, selling newspapers, selling tomatoes, selling eggs, door to door. So I needed something that was going to expand my mind. So around 17 years old, I read The Magic of Thinking Big, and that expanded my mindset. It was like, there's just a magic, I don't want to say magic in it, but there is a unique power that happens when you expand your mind. When you start thinking bigger than your current living situation, when you start thinking bigger than your current bank account, when you start thinking bigger than no matter where you're living or the condition you're in, when you think bigger than that, guess what? You're going to attract that in your life in some way. And you have to put in the work. You can't just sit there and wait for stuff to happen. You put in the work and it comes out. But I have to say, that is my favorite book of all time.
And you read it when you were 17.
I read it when I was 17 years old, yep.
That's awesome. That reminds me of my very first real estate book. Well, it's probably one of my first real estate books, but my very first real estate book that made a huge impact on me. And I read it back in the 80s. And the name of, I don't even know if it's still around, but the name of it is The #1 Real Estate Investment Nobody Talks About. That was the name of the book. And, and that was my first exposure to notes and seller financing and creating seller financing. You know, buy a house for $30,000, sell it with owner financing for $70,000. You know, that was my first introduction to notes way back in the 80s.
Wow, that's amazing. That is so cool.
It's pretty wild, huh? It's pretty wild.
Yeah, that is amazing.
And it was published by Wiley, who is the publisher that published my first book, which was pretty cool, too.
Of your first book. Yeah, that's so cool.
That is pretty cool. So I know you do wholesaling and you do some other stuff right now. What is your favorite model?
My favorite model is two. It's cash flow properties. So for the single family, it is owner financing. Thanks to you, because I never did owner financing before. When I was stuck with those two properties, I'm like, Larry, what am I? I remember we were just talking about it. And you're like, well, why don't you do owner financing? I'm like, okay. So I think that was like 5 years ago, I think, about 4 years ago. And I love it. I've been doing it ever since, and I've been doing it with that. I've been doing it with land. We're actually doing it here with some land right now. That and apartments. I'm in a partnership deal with my dad. We just closed a deal in Portugal like yesterday. And so I do apartments in Massachusetts and Rhode Island. And then with my dad, I've been doing some stuff on the side with him as well. My dad's recently come into real estate apartments over the years as well, because, kind of after a while, it rubs off, Right. And, he used to not like that style of investing, but, he's grown into it. But I love the cash flow, Larry. For me, my favorite is cash flow. I think starting off in wholesaling is great. It's a great way to get into the business.
Right.
It's a great way to build up your cash reserve. But then you have to get into a cash flow position. You have to build, whether it's lease options or whether it's owner financing, you have to build into that cash flow so you can be able to do what you want, when you want, with who you want.
That's awesome. That is really good. That's really good, Nathan. So what kind of parting words would you have to somebody that's out there? Maybe they're not really sure what to do, or, they bought a few courses, maybe been through a coaching program. What kind of advice would you give a newbie coming along? Now, we've got not only newbies that watch this or that, that are on our list and that follow us. We've got people that are already doing deals and scaling their business, want to take it to the next level, and they're ones that are in our mastermind. But what kind of advice would you give to somebody that's maybe the single best piece of advice that you could give them?
Whew, that's a tough one.
I know,
you said
right?
Something very, because it's tough, because everyone I work with is very customized.
They're from a different place.
When I work with, it's from a different place. So if I'm working with someone who's just brand new, it's very customized to where they're at. And then I've worked with some of these coaching students, and they've already done 20 deals, but they're trying to figure out these little things that they can't see, these little tweaks that are needed to go from 20 deals a year to 30 deals a year, but not just more growth, automation
Yeah.
and systems, and to systemize their business. And sometimes it's just a few little tweaks and it just changes everything. It's awesome. Those are great too. So whether someone is just starting out or whether someone is already scaling and growing their business, but they're looking for maybe different avenues of lead generation or whatnot, I analyze that and I take the time, break that down, and then give them a good solution. But more importantly, what are we going to do to implement? We have to implement to get results.
Right.
So that would be my answer to that question, because it's very customized to anyone that I'm working with.
That's awesome. That is awesome. It's kind of like Michael Gerber says, a lot of people, they're too busy working in their business to work on their business. I've actually seen myself get so busy working on the business that the business suffers. Right? You're looking at different systems and processes and procedures, and you got to make sure that you, number one, take care of your customer, whether it be a student or a buyer or a seller or a vendor or a realtor, but I'm over here looking at the new latest software or CRM or websites or whatever, ways to automate. And there's something to be said for that. You've got to have a happy balance. You can't be doing just one or the other. You got to have a happy balance and don't do one to the detriment of the other, right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's the first thing. And it's not a shocker, but it's when I got started in real estate, Larry, I was gullible. So I just believed everything my coach told me. When my coach told me, go call all the ads in the newspaper that had for rent, that's what I did. I didn't ask him why. I didn't say, is there another way? I just did what he told me. I was gullible, and I just did exactly what he said. What was I doing? Building my buyer's list. My buyer's list were my customers. And I think the thing a lot of investors get mixed up about in this business, they think the seller is their customer. They're not. That's almost like your charity work. You're helping someone get out of their problem. It's almost like you're helping. That's the helping part about this business.
Right.
That's charity.
Right.
Your customer is your buyer. So that buyer's list is everything. You got to nurture them. You got to know what they want, how they want it, and build those relationships. And that is something I have to say, Larry, I'm a specialist at. I am really good at building relationships, and I teach my students and I coach them on how to build good relationships. And that is the number one thing, is picking up your phone. I know today we're in a very technical texting, Facebook Messenger, all these apps that are going on.
Right.
But what it comes down to it is people want communication. They want the phone. You got to give them a phone call or a video chat or phone. It's got to be there. And that's one thing I really stress with people, because that's how you build relationships. And down the road, Larry, as you're familiar with this, it's how you even raise money for real estate. It's how it gets a lot easier. When you raise money for real estate, if you want to use OPM and other people's money, you got to have that face-to-face, whether it's a video or over the phone.
That is so true. Even the guys right outside my office door that are out there making offers all day long, first thing they do is pick up the phone. When in doubt, pick up the phone. Pick up the phone. I don't care if you're calling an agent or a seller or a bank or whatever.
So
just pick up the phone,
So true.
Sell the seller, sell the agent, right?
Yep. So true.
So, Nathan, before we go, would you like to share your, maybe your company email address or something if people want to reach out to you and maybe have questions? I mean, I'm not, Nathan's not going to be coaching you, okay? Unless you're one of our inner circle people. You already have all of mine and his contact info. But, if you have questions for Nathan and you'd like to reach out to him, Nathan, share your email if you'd like.
Absolutely, Larry. I'm always open to what I call a value call. I'm always open to saying someone is stuck on a big problem and they just can't get through it. I don't mind answering some questions. Let's clear out the fog. Let me turn on the fan and clear out some fog for you, and let's get some clarity and let's move forward.
Right.
So I'm all for that. Yeah, I'm not going to coach you on step by step throughout the process, but let's create some clarity and get a plan together so that we can move forward and grow your business and close your first deal or your next deal. Contact information is you can email me at Nathan, Nathan, at LarryGoins.com. So Nathan at LarryGoins.com.
Good. And like he said, it's not coaching, but he can talk to you, and maybe you'll help him create a plan. And then if you want Nathan and me to help you implement that plan, that's another conversation. He can talk to you about that. But at least by reaching out to Nathan, you will have an idea and a plan and some clarity. Like he said, turn on the fan, clear out the fog, right? I like that analogy. And then, and then if you want to implement it on your own, you can do that. Or if you need some help, we can help you too. It's like I talk to a lot of people all the time that, well, Larry, I've bought this course. I've been to this seminar. I've done this. I've done that. And my standard response is, okay, now you've got some education, but where's the implementation, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's what we help them with, right, Nathan?
Absolutely. I can tell you, I got courses too. I've been to seminars too. I've been to more seminars than I can count. But like I said in the beginning of our talk today, Larry, if I knew what I know now, I would have skipped all the seminars. I would have gotten with a coach a lot sooner. I wish I hired my coach 2 years earlier than me waiting and procrastinating or putting it off and saying, I can do it, or it's expensive. Let me tell you, what's expensive is ignorance.
I hear you. Hey, I've got a few courses too. Look at this.
Yeah, you got a lot more, cousin.
There's one bookcase.
Yeah, that's one.
There's two.
There's two.
Right? And on the other wall,
3.
2 more.
Yeah,
and that's just in my office, not in my home office.
Exactly. Exactly.
That's funny.
Exactly.
So, Nathan, what kind of parting words do you have to our listeners?
I always like to bring up the powerful impact of someone's mind. And, if you think you can, you will. And if you think you can't, you won't. If you have a passion, a deep burning desire to be in this business, real estate, it's already been burning inside of you already. You've been thinking about it. You think about it, maybe you're at your job. Maybe you think about it at night and you're looking online and you're trying to figure out, how can I do this business? And maybe you're looking at properties all night long while everyone else is sleeping and you're just looking at properties. If you know that this business is within you and you see yourself doing it in the next 10 years, then the most important thing I can tell you is take that step forward. Get with someone, get with a coach, move forward so that you can actually be in this business. It's the part of what you say in your mind that I am an investor, not I'm trying to be an investor.
Right.
It's I am an investor, not I'm going to be an investor.
Speak in the present.
That is speak in the present. Declaring what you want, that's the most important thing I can tell anyone that I ever work with.
That's awesome. I love it. Nathan, man, I really, really appreciate you taking the time to be on here today. What time is it where you are? I know we're recording this. This is in the afternoon, a little after lunch. What time is it there?
So it's in the evening. Right now there's an 8-hour time difference, so it's 8:23.
Oh, yeah. Good. So it's not like you're recording this in the middle of the night or anything.
No, but I would anyway. Hey, Larry, remember that time I did the call from Brussels and it was 3:00 in the morning? I did it for the Inner Circle group. It was 3:00 in the morning. You know what kept me up? The excitement of real estate, people doing deals. I would do this business any time of the day. I really would, because I'm excited about it. I'm passionate about it. It's within me. It's what keeps me up at night, not because of struggling. It's because it keeps me up at night because of the success and the freedom it brings and the excitement it brings.
Right.
That I would do it anytime.
That is awesome, man. That's awesome. I really, really appreciate it. And I'm so glad that you are such a big part of our Inner Circle program. I mean, yeah, we have the calls with me. We have the motivational calls. But you do deal analysis calls every month. You do live calls with sellers or buyers every month.
Yep.
And you do one-on-one calls with students. And they have the knowledge base, and depending on what level, they can even come here to our office to start out for a few days. So I really appreciate you being such a big part of this. You are just amazing with students, and I'm so glad that you're a part of it.
Thanks, Larry. Thanks so much for having me on here and being a part of your organization. It's truly a pleasure to help people and see them get awesome results. Thank you so much.
That's awesome. Well, that's going to wrap up the premiere episode of the new and improved Brain PickAPro. Now it's a podcast. Back then it was a teleconference, right?
Ooh, podcast. I love podcasts.
That's awesome. All right, cool. So thanks a lot, Nathan. I really appreciate you being on. And take care, buddy. Tell Joy I said hi.
I will. All right. Thanks, Larry.
Awesome. Thanks. Bye-bye.